Hello, beautiful friends. Thank you for being here. I hope you're all doing well. I know the energy has been a bit heavy lately, but just a reminder that you're here for a reason. You know, if you're on the front lines of this awakening to who we really are, then you're here for a reason. You know, and it's not always easy, but it is worth it. And I love you, and I honor you, and I respect you. And I honor your process because, everything's a process. It's not often how our egos want it to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, I just want to send some encouragement and some of the things that I've been observing in my corner of the universe, and hopefully, this is helpful and resonates. So, right off the bat, I just want to start with something I just kind of experienced, and it's something I've known for a while, and I've probably even talked about it, but it's one of those things that you realize deeper and deeper and deeper because I've just been feeling um, this, like I said, heavy energy. It's just like deep fear and angst and division. And now it's kind of starting to make a little more sense to me because I thought I was kind of just going crazy for a second, but I just went to the grocery store, and maybe this is just me, but I almost feel like if you ever go to, like, at least if you live in like a, I mean, maybe even if you don't live in a bigger city, you go to the grocery store, it's almost like you're taking the temperature of like the general vibe of humanity. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But if you really pay attention, it's always such a variety of like totally different energies because unlike some places, pretty much everyone still has to use the grocery stores. If you don't, then that's amazing. I'm trying to get there, but it's always a wide variety of different people. Anyways, and I just can't help it. I always just have to. I mean, it's almost involuntary. I can just feel like the vibes, and it's like a big soup of energy. And normally, I've been in this really like maybe this is relatable. I'll just be honest. I've been in this really, like I said, it's like this fearful, angsty kind of energy. And I've been observing it, but I've just been feeling it so deeply. And it's been, causing a lot of ripples in my thoughts. Lots of like angry little voices and thoughts. You know what I mean? Almost involuntary. They just come up and I just observe them. But this time was different because I've really been coming back to my heart as much as possible. And so it was a lot different this time, and I really just could feel, and especially looking into people's eyes, like the fear. The fear, and obviously, this is no surprise, we know this, but it just kind of hit me differently this time. It's kind of like, in a way, eye opening because I could, on a deeper level than probably ever, could just really empathize with people because, and this is just my interpretation, and of course, like, I just want to share this because I feel like this is important that we, have this like open discourse about our experiences, so we can really communicate and figure out what's really going on here. But for me, it kind of felt like people are starting to, like, on different levels, realize that things are not going to go back to normal. Even if they're in denial, a lot of them are still in denial. But it's almost like I could see it in their eyes that is like really bothering them. And so it kind of just made me feel a lot of compassion and really trying to smile at people. That's maybe one way. Obviously, if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. I don't think we should be fake about it, but if you have, enough energy to give, to just smile at people and strangers. It's like I almost felt like people really need that. Like people really appreciated that, and people were really, I'm a shy person. I'm kind of an awkward person, but I don't know how to explain it. And again, I'm just being raw and authentic, and I'm sure this makes sense. It's just how it is. It's like humanity is so, like, we're just in this, and it's been like this for a long, long time, where it's, we're kind of programmed not to like look at each other in the eyes, or like we feel really like awkward or intimidated by like random fellow human beings. I'm sure this is relatable because that's just, I'm just sharing like the vibes I was getting from people. They're really, really anxious, really um, unsure, like kind of full of doubt, kind of scared, like kind of like touched and relieved just from like, like a smile, like an honest smile from a stranger. I don't know. I hope this is resonating because it's just because I've been really wondering, I've been really asking, and this is something I invite everyone to do, anyone who feels who resonates with this, to ask. Again, however you see it, ask your higher self, ask God, ask spirit how we can begin to embody the resolution, for lack of better words, to truly be the solution, because it's always way deeper than we think. Because it's from my understanding, again and again, I realize it's very much a heart based thing, because this is truly our center, because our thoughts will often judge, and that brings me right into what I want to talk about too, because this I've really been observing this one, and I'm still learning, but it's starting to become more clear to me. This division, and it can be a hard pill to swallow, and it's multidimensional, because when I talk about this divide, I mean, you have to be able to see it by now. It's like this system has turned like every single decision you make into like red versus blue or whatever. Like everything's always like mask versus no mask, in fact, V versus no V, you know, Democrat versus Republican. But it's like every single, I mean, it's like everything, and it's like, it's almost like it's milking that duality. And we've really, if there's like anything I can see that's like a huge part of this like cluster, excuse my language, but clusterfuck of like what humanity's in right now. Like I feel like so much of it is because of the division. And this is the part that's really important though, is a lot of this division is engineered by this system, by these parasitic beings who want to feed off of your um, pain. And that is like really crazy. But if you really think about it, very little of it's organic. And most of the organic division is because of all the artificial division. And what I mean by that is just the media obviously is constantly pitting people against each other, and they're still doing it, even the internet. And not only that, and of course humans are just naturally prone to it, but there's so much illusion, like on the internet, on social medias, like there's so many extremists. Like that's what they want you to think. There's so these extremists out here, but I mean, I know there's some, but it's like, is there really that many? I really wonder. I really wonder, because personally, I don't really know any extremists, to be honest. And I know people with all kinds of different opinions. Some that I don't even agree with. But that's what I'm getting into. It's very strange. And again, this is multidimensional in the sense, and I just feel like this is worth saying. Although it should be intuitive, I think we're so programmed and we're so emotional that, and like this ego is so toxic that we forget. But I'm trying to say this in the simplest words possible. You know, you don't have to agree with everyone, and that's impossible. That this has been a problem, not a problem, but this has been like a theme for humanity for a long, long time, way before um, this whole um, I don't know, pandemic. I know they're weird about words, but whatever. It's been like this. I mean, I remember I was in truther groups and stuff like years ago, 5, 10 years ago, and it's like constant infighting. So it's just like, again, everything is coming to the surface. It's just like constant fighting and division and all these things. And just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean you shouldn't stand up for your truth with your voice, you know, and let them stand up for their truth and their voice. Because, from my understanding, it's only when we can all allow our voices to be expressed and seen and understood without, treading on other people, that we can really begin to unite. Because, again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's almost like just a reminder that this infighting between humans is exactly what this like system wants, because then the real root of it will never be seen, and it has to be seen. So until we can figure this out as human beings on the different pillars of this duality, can begin to understand this, we're going to keep going through this madness on this level. And I think it'd be more fun once we can see the divide, start to point it out. Because I think everyone can agree that this constant division is like tiring, you know? So that's just what's been coming up to my heart. I hope that makes sense because it's so simple. It's so simple, and there's no, I want to say there's really no need to compromise, because from what my understanding is, we all are sovereign entities. We all can play by these very few rules of, don't hurt people, don't steal things, don't, like, even that, just as basic as that, and allow other people to be free. What's the big deal? I hope that makes sense. You know, it's like there's always these extremes of like, I need to go full out and destroy everyone who disagrees with me, or I'm gonna hide back and not say anything. When this is a time when our voices need to be heard, especially when there's so many artificial, I mean, I don't know if you guys see it, but there's bots everywhere. And I'm not talking about like NPCs because that's a whole other topic, but I mean like literal fake bots on these big social media platforms that are skewing the opinions. So it's like you can't trust any of that, honestly. They're trying to make a huge divide now of like V versus non V, and it's like, you know, obviously I have my opinions about that. I'm a human being, but why do I care if other people make their own choice? You know what I mean? I'd like for everyone to be healthy and free, but like I said before, I can't control people. Why would I hate someone because of what they chose to do with their body? Why would someone hate me because of what I choose to do with my body? It's programming. It's that division. In my understanding, this is just how I see it. Because every single thing now is like it has to be a divide. Because they have to keep us fighting again so that we never actually see the real picture. And again, from my understanding, it's inevitable that we see the big picture. It's just a matter of how. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of how we choose to respond. So, I want to try to keep this short for once. I know I tend to go on, but I hope that's helpful. There's so much to observe, and I think, there's such great opportunities here to remember who we really are and to remember, start to tune into that empathy for other people, not because you need to sacrifice yourself or your truth, what you stand for. You don't have to sacrifice that. You don't have to compromise that. It's more of a multidimensional thing of living that out fully. Again, as long as you're not hurting anyone and allowing others to do that too. And the more we can do that, maybe the more we can start to see, this natural middle ground because we all have things in common. It seems kind of unnatural to me. I think we're so programmed with like this black and white mentality, and I see it all the time. It's like it's almost like a switch is activated because the media tells you if someone disagrees with you, they must be, you know, this crazy extremist that's responsible for everything that the other side has done to this day. And it's like that's not realistic. I know people who I would say on a third dimensional level are on like the other side that I am, but they're not extremists. They're normal people, just trying to have their little human lives, have their families, go to the grocery store, um, make decisions based on what they know the best they can. It's kind of almost like this going back to basics because I just get tired of like this fighting. And, I can be honest, I've played into it myself. But at some point, it's like, how do we move forward? And I feel like it's happening. Now that it's getting to this point and it's going to continue to get to this point where things are just going to keep getting weirder and weirder and weirder. I'm buckled up. I hope you guys are. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I've been expecting. And I don't have fear for that. I'm prepared for anything. But, I have faith. I have faith in humanity. I really do. Especially, and this is another thing, I don't know if I already said this, but, if you don't know what to do, ask. Ask that higher source within you. And then it'll always answer you. Like, it might not be the way you thought or expected, but it'll always answer you. And remember, the heart really is the center. I'm reminded of that all the time because I'm one of these people who can really get in my head. My thoughts can get so loud, these judgments, and they can be really nasty, just like these quick little judgments. And it's like, I talked about this in my last video. You don't want to identify with that. It's your free will if you do or not, but be observant of that because the more you identify with those voices, the more they're going to keep dragging you around like a pinball machine. It's like until you come into the heart. And remember, a really wise, good friend of mine always says, love and intelligence can solve everything. Those two, that's a really good way to, come back to the center, I think. Obviously you need intelligence, but without love, what even is there? I hope that makes sense. I'm sure if you ever have really like spiritual experiences in your life where you realize and you remember how powerful love is, it's not just a saying. It's like that's what people are hungry for. That's what people need. These different forms of love is how we can begin to relate to each other and realize that it's kind of funny to think like we all have the same past life experiences because we really don't. And that's why we're all so different. and we're all human, we all have our human side, that sometimes is fearful or angry or sad. And I'm kind of rambling on, but it really touched me because I could really feel, and relate to a lot of these people because, like I said, I've been feeling that fear. Obviously, I don't identify with it, but I feel it come up and I feel it and it's intense because that fear will talk you into things that aren't true, and what's the antidote to fear is love. It's almost like if you've ever been in a situation where you're overcome with a strong emotion like fear, and there's someone trying to yell at you like what to do or the solution, and it just doesn't even process. It's like that's why I say you need that love too. That love is essential. Again, not the love that you see on TV. It's like real love. You know what real love is. So I hope this is helpful and grounding. This is probably different than a lot of videos, but again, I just keep asking, how can I continue to be part of the solution? Because I know there's a lot of people that to this day won't acknowledge the shadow, even though it's like the big, bright, fluorescent elephant in the room. It's like people still don't want to acknowledge it. And I think we get really frustrated with that. But I think people are going to start acknowledging it now more and more. I mean, it's already been happening. Obviously, this system wouldn't want you to know that, but it's been happening. And not only that, but if you can acknowledge it, that's amazing. But I don't think it stops there. It's like, can you acknowledge it? And can you be and embody the resolution? And it's not about expectation. It's not about it's going to happen tomorrow. This is a sprint, or this is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, enjoy the process, just like you enjoy your process, your individual process. And the last thing I'll say on that note is you don't have to wait for every single human being to catch up to where you are to start acting. Be the change you wish to see in the world. That's how it has to go down. Like, we have to be our own saviors. And again, it's a fractal. Individually and as a people, we have to be our own saviors. No one's going to do it for us. It's not going to be one, two, three great heroes. It's going to be all of us letting these egos go, or letting them see who we really are. Not getting caught up on all these judgments and hatreds and traps. This division is a trap. Divide and conquer. I mean, we've seen that. How much longer do we have to keep seeing that until we realize, that there's a way, way greater picture. And we don't have to wait for every single human. Everyone's at different levels. And that's another illusion. Exactly what I'm saying is there's so many illusions that they try to put out there, especially on the internet. And it appears real, but be very aware of that, because they also try to paint a picture like we are such a minority, and we're not. We're really not, and we're growing every day. And once people really hit this level of awakening, or whatever you want to call it, you don't normally go back. You don't have to wait for every single human being to start doing what you want to do. Like, you have to be that change yourself. Like, that's why you're here. That's why you're on the front lines. It's time to be bold, time to be brave. It is time to stand up. Because we are way greater than this little 3D matrix. We have way more power. We literally are surrounded by light. I'm reminded of that every single day. We have a spiritual army. And it feels like we're coming to the point where we're going to really have to use that. Like, it's not going to be just for fun or for spiritual whatever. It's like that's going to be important. You know, in these times we're getting into as things get crazier and more intense, you know, and yet here we are, you know, just as ever, as our eternal beings. I love you all so much. Again, I hope this is helpful. Just wanted to reach out with that encouragement. You know, it's really profound. We have so much more power than we realize. You know, I say that all the time, but it's so true. Every single day. So again, thank you for listening. God bless you. You know, please be kind to yourself, and if you can, be kind to others. And remember that this is worth it, and that it's an adventure, you know. It is an adventure for all of us. And I'll see you next time. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.